Yo, what up guys, it's Theo Stewart, and today I am going to be doing a hand-drawn map and kind of show you all my process. I have filmed this video before, and during the whole filming, while you was looking at the paper, my cameras want to go in and out. It's kind of picking up my shadow or whatever on it, and it's trying to focus. So I am doing it in here. At that point I had done it in my bedroom, so I figured doing it in here, better lighting, and hopefully we won't have that problem. So yeah, if you're seeing this video, it's a lot better quality than the last one. But yeah, that's what we're going to do. I hope you all enjoy it. So I usually do mine just kind of freehand. I'm using a pen this time because last time I used a pencil and it wasn't pulling up as well on camera or whatever. It's kind of light. So I'm gonna try a pen this time, see if it's darker so y'all can see it better. Also better lighting, so it should help anyways. But I usually freehand my maps. I know a lot of people take either dyes or some rice or even some dried beans and just kind of toss it up and kind of outline whatever. So what I'm going to do, or what I usually do, is just kind of chicken scratches. Sometimes I just kind of go like this. Now that I do like this, now that it's kind of whatever. So that's what I'm gonna start out with doing. Just kind of chicken scratches here and there. And then what I like to do is go through and try to connect them to make it look more like a landmass instead of just a bunch of scratches. The map that I decided to do last time was for Black Islands, which is a cluster of islands in my Lands of the Abyss series, my fantasy world, and so I'm going to try to do that again today. Last time I decided to do it because the original map I have for it, I don't really care for it too much, so I was trying to come up with a new map idea, so I did what I did last time when I filmed this, and I liked it a lot better. I don't know how this one's going to turn out. I might like this one better, I might not, but you know, one of these two is what I'm going to go with probably. But like I said, I just kind of do some chicken scratches, maybe put another one over there since there's some white space. And then I'll just kind of start and kind of connect to them somehow. Just kind of see, you know, how it all kind of fits together. I don't draw straight lines to them or whatever. I might kind of dip in some, whatever, like I did here. Just kind of, you know, whatever. But those chicken scratches are just kind of like a basis of what I kind of am going to go with. So let's just kind of do this about that. And typically you don't want like straight lines whenever you're doing it, or like smooth curves. You kind of want like a jagged area to represent coastlines and stuff if you want it more realistic. I usually wait until later in the process to do it. Me using ink, I'm not going to be able to go in and kind of, you know, erase and redo or whatever, but you know, that's typically what I end up doing. Over here, I think last time I did about 4 islands, so I'm going to attempt to do similar this go around. And still kind of very rough lines, just kind of, you know, so I'm not drawing just one straight continuous line, it's a bunch of just broken pieces, I guess. Some more little chicken scratches, but more in a manner that I'm controlling better, I guess. And then I got this kind of U shape. I don't know if y'all can see it on the camera. There's a or a J shape chicken scratch from earlier. I'm going to obviously use that as peninsula top ordeal, and then maybe even wrap this up over here. Maybe kind of make it look like it fit together at one point or something. If you want to create your map off of tectonic plates or whatever you want them to kind of somewhat look like they connect. They don't always have to. I know in my world they didn't, even though it was at one point one place before a giant earthquake type of event separated all the lands and stuff. But a lot of the lands were also made through magic and stuff, so they don't fit perfectly together. But the ones that I wanted to actually do, you just can't tell. But yeah. But so if you're one that you kind of want more like an organic break in it or whatever, you know, something that looks kind of similar. But anyways, once you get your actual outline, I've always been told, and how I always do mine, is start from the top down. Which means start with your mountains, your highest points, and then kind of work your way down. So for mountains, I am going to possibly do maybe some right in here, and maybe just a little bit right here. So let's go ahead and kind of do that. What I usually do is just kind of like a zigzag. You know, it doesn't have to be real tight zigzags. It can be if you want, but just depending on the size of your map and scale and stuff you want for them. Let's kind of do like a little zigzag like that, and then I will kind of go in one end and kind of do a little curve, because that zigzag is going to be the top of the mountain range. So now you're going to kind of go in and add like the little curve showing that it's elevated, and then on each little jut or edge from the zigzag you go in and add like a little bit more of a curve, so it looks like an actual peak instead of just whatever. That's why I don't try to curve them too much. I usually try to get more of a actual point, so it's easier to kind of tell exactly where I'm going to have the stuff coming off of. If you want to on both sides you can, but typically whatever the outside is what you really need to start off with. Let's see here. There are times you can do it on both sides, and there are times you can do it on the flat area if you want. And then after I kind of get the main ones done, I will go in the flat area and kind of do a little bit, so you don't have too much of just nothing in some of the areas. And then usually, I don't know how well it's going to turn out with pen, I'll go in just slightly lighter and kind of on one side, kind of do like a little more rougher shadow type effect on the mountains. Stuff like that. Like I said, I was going to do some over here, so let's just kind of. So like that. I'm not too that crazy about the actual look of these mountains, but yeah, that's kind of what I do. Let's see here, maybe one over here. Stuff like that, I guess. And then next, after you do your mountains, you go to the next last thing, which is usually hills and plateaus. I never actually put plateaus in my world. I do hills, and then if I want it to be a plateau, I still usually represent it as a hill. I've never really went that in depth in any of my maps. I just know that this section of hills, or this hill in particular, is actually a plateau or something. But if I ever did actually do something to represent that, what I would do is just a straight line. I'll just kind of draw one right here. A straight line over for the flat, and then a little bit of a ledge on both ends. So that way I know that that's the plateau right there, in a sense. My hills, I just kind of do like a little curve bump and use that, cluster them together. So let's go in and kind of do some hills over here. Boom, 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 boom. Do some hills in this little area. Yes, right there, maybe some down here. Yeah, where it's not quite mountain, but still not actually plains lands. It's still kind of elevated and uneven terrain. Maybe a couple of hills up here. Stuff like that. A couple over here. And then if you are going to go with the tectonic plate type ordeal, and you want these to appear like they had originally been connected, like you take this little water area here and just kind of mush them together. You want to kind of continue whatever environment and terrain that you have going on up here, down here. So that's why I got this mountain area right here, and then put a little bit right here. Got some hills on this side of the mountain or whatever. Go ahead and throw a little bit more here. And then you want to kind of carry it on over here a little bit. So yeah. Boom, boom, boom. Stuff like that. Throw up some hills kind of out here somewhere. Maybe even a little bit over here. And maybe a little bit right here. And call it good. And then after that, I usually go and start doing some forests and trees and stuff like that. Usually on the grand scale. If this is a smaller map, I might try to figure out exactly where I want individual trees or whatever, if it's like a town or a section of town or something. But as a world, I'm not going to be like, oh, well, there'll be like one little tree here, one little tree here, or whatever. I just do the forest and the woods and stuff, the more dense, heavily populated areas of trees. So on here, I think I'm going to put some over here. And usually what I do for that is just like a bumpy line type area for the outline of it. So it's maybe some trees. The reason why I do that kind of design is just because that's what I think most people growing up as a kid did for trees, is the little bumpy outline. Same thing with clouds, and then you just kind of fill it in on the center. And I was just kind of carried over doing that with my maps. Maybe not have it go all the way to the coastline, that little area, but yeah, a little bit right there. Maybe seeing that it can carry it over a little bit up there. Some more. Maybe throw some. If you want to say somehow this was connected, maybe even if that was like rotated, so that mountain line would match up right here. So you got this little rotation, so that tree line would kind of go over here. And then I would actually kind of bump that out a little bit more to look like it actually fit in that curve. But since that's about where it's at, like this portion of the curve down, I'm going to do something like that for the trees. And then I usually fill them in, and then I just kind of do like a little spiral, circle, whatever, just kind of scribbles to kind of fill it in. Now and then I might just do like one continuous one, like I am right now, so it all kind of gets jumbled up. Other times I might start in one area and just kind of go across, stop, go back, go across, go across. And I feel like this method right here makes it look less confusing than that, because that kind of bunch of overlapping stuff, and it's just like, I don't know what's going on. So I typically do it like this, but at times I do just kind of do one continuous one. So I'm just gonna do it right here. But something that lets me know that there's stuff inside this outline of the forest, so I know that this is trees and not just a jagged coastline or something like that. And then after I get the trees down, usually the next level ground would be plainslands or deserts or something like that, which would be basically everything that I haven't used yet. So I usually don't even go through and try to do any kind of design on that now that I do. I'll get to that later. But usually what I'll go to next is your water sources. Usually I will start by creating the big water sources first, since this is the ocean or whatever, I ain't got to worry about it. But any kind of lakes or seas or anything like that, or ponds, depending on your scale. I know a lot of people tell me that I like big bodies of water. I can't disagree, because I do. To me, it feels like it breaks up the environment some, so this is kind of what I always do. But, you know, that's just kind of what happens. At times, I might use some of those chicken scratches I did for the outline of the islands. And instead of using every single one, I might use some of them for the lakes and stuff like that as well. Especially if I had all those and it's kind of in the middle, I was like, I don't want like a bunch of islands. I want one single continent or landmass. I might use some of those as rivers or lakes or stuff like that. Or I might even use some of them as the mountain ranges. And then whenever I don't have them, now I might do a couple little chicken scratches or whatever, and then kind of go through and connect them. Like that. Or I might just kind of freehand it or something. Maybe put one right out here. You don't want to do just like a circle or, you know, an organic or a generic shape or anything like that. You want to kind of make it unsymmetrical and shit. So yeah, but after you kind of get some of those bodies of water, then I start with my rivers. And with rivers, usually you have some coming out of mountains from like the snow melting and stuff like that. So I am going to have one coming out here, and it's going to kind of go in here, and then there's a little bit of hills right here. So we're going to have the river kind of go in between them and then out into the ocean. I might do another little river kind of up here, have it come down and connect to that one. Maybe another one up here. Kind of got this little crest there, so let's go here. And have it go through the woods a little bit and then exit out. And if I have it go through the woods, I try to make sure it's darker so I can see it's within all of the random scribbles and stuff, scribbles. After that, I don't like one straight river or one single river. A lot of times I like little branches coming off of them, as you can kind of see of those. And you know, rivers actually deposit into a water source of some sort. You're not going to have one that just starts and ends. It starts in one spot and ends at another body of water. Might be a lake, might be the ocean, might be whatever. But it's not just going to start and stop. Let's see here. Maybe one coming from this lake, have it kind of going over here, depositing out into the ocean. Maybe have some kind of coming up from these hills and deposit it into this lake. Stuff like that. Now, rivers usually, typically, they try to tell you go to the closest body of water. That's not the case. That's just a made-up thing that people try to say. You go to the closest one. The reason they say that is just because they feel like water is going to try to magnetically connect themselves to each other. I don't know why they say that. But the only actual fact about water is that it finds the lowest point. So if it starts up in the mountains, it's going to go down the mountain somewhere else. You ain't gonna have a river going up the mountain. Also, rivers don't diverge from each other, which means they don't separate. You don't have one single river and then breaks into two. That does not happen in nature. If it does happen, it's because it's man-made or some other type of instance like that. But naturally, it does not happen because water does look for the smallest or lowest point, which means if it's breaking into two, that both of those would be completely the same depth, like to a T. Otherwise, it's all going to go one way or the other. So usually that doesn't happen unless it's man-made. But rivers do converge, which means they do join together, because you could have two different starting points, like I have, like here and here and here, and they start finding the lowest point, and eventually that's the lowest point from this point and from this point. And then this is the lowest point from that point and these points. So they do converge because they're all trying to find that lowest point, but they're not going to diverge, if that makes sense. I am going to put a river. I'm going to put one going out to here. A little bit of water. And maybe even have some kind of coming up from the mountain area. And like I was talking about, people try to say it goes to the closest body of water. It doesn't have to. I could have the river go from here and then all the way here. And the reason that would prevent it from going over here, I could put hills or something like that there. Or just say, not necessarily a hill, but this elevation so slightly, you know, goes up as it goes farther out, and you got more of a cliff here. And then you know, the water is not going to go through that cliff. It's going to go, you know, around. It's going to follow the base of it, or it's going to follow the valley of the hills or whatever to this area over here. So you don't have to do the closest body of water like some people try to make it out to be. Let me put some over here. That's going to go over here. I'm going to say that there's some hills here that's kind of blocking it from going that direction. Maybe have some going this way, a couple other hills, stuff like that. And then I don't think I'm going to have anything going to that body of water, but I'm going to throw up some rivers and stuff like that. I do like to put a lot of rivers and lakes and stuff, large bodies of water in my world. I know some people always kind of poke fun at me for that, but I do like it. Also, it helps with actually building settlements and towns, because towns typically start out near bodies of water, or at least, you know, the olden days, I guess, especially, you know, writing medieval fantasy and stuff like that. They typically start out near bodies of water, because that's their water source. Nowadays, if it's more modern, it doesn't have to be, because they have water pumped into, you know, places now, so you don't have to be near a body of water. But yeah, it's that. I'm going to have this kind of going over here, and I'm going to have this kind of going like that. We have another river kind of coming over here. This means that there's probably some hills or something around here. Right in here. Yeah, stuff like that. Usually, also haven't done yet for the lakes, so I know that's kind of what it is. I usually kind of just do a couple water wave lines. Now and then I might kind of go around the banks of it, like the beach area, and kind of do the one continuous wave around there, but not always. So yeah, I think that's probably going to be about all that I'm going to do for the water. And the only thing I got left, if I was going to do deserts and, you know, plains areas like separately, I'd go in and kind of at least mark one of them. I wouldn't mark both of them. Deserts, what I usually do is kind of tap, so I'll have a bunch of little dots to, I guess, represent sand or something. And then for a plains land, I usually just kind of do, almost looks like an arrow, but it's like little 3 blades of grass, like every so often and stuff. But since I didn't plan on any deserts being in black islands anywhere, I'm going to just automatically know everything that's not labeled is going to be plains lands. And after that, all you got left is your towns, figuring out where you want them. Like I said, if you're going more medieval fantasy, or, you know, more ancient times like that, you're going to want them by bodies of water, by rivers, by lakes, by, you know, whatever. Usually, if it's like in the center, like this lake has no, you know, outlet anywhere, more than likely that's not the place that they first settled. If I put a town right there, the people that settled there had started somewhere else, and they went there. The bad thing about that place is now they have no way to easily transport trade goods. If you're, you know, say up here by this river, you could still ship it down that river and then out wherever. Coastlines are the best for trade, just because it's easiest, especially with 4 islands like this that they're trading amongst themselves. You're probably gonna have one here, one's kind of here somewhere on the coast, you know, maybe that one by the river, another one by the river, or over here on the coast. That way they have, you know, almost direct trade routes. You know, they're not having to go upriver, downriver, or whatever to each other. It's just right there. It's easier to port and to, you know, ship and stuff. But you kind of go through, figure out where all you want them. It's kind of, I usually do like a little dot, like I'm doing right now. I'm figuring out, you know, right here, right here, right here. Typically not up in the mountains, because, like I said, trade, I mean, you could have rivers, but why not just settle downstream somewhere where it's not so cold and rugged, and you have more plantations for plants. You know, some people like the rougher environments of the mountains. I know I have a whole kingdom that's made out of mountains, so I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm just saying, you know, when you're actually thinking about how that affects your communities and stuff. I know last week I touched on, you know, world building and things to kind of take into account, and, you know, the environment and stuff is one of those. So if you do choose to put somebody up the mountains right here or something, you know, you got to kind of actually think how that's going to affect, you know, how they live and how they, you know, trade and deal with other people, and like their customs and stuff. I'm gonna put one over here. It's kind of secluded. And that's usually about as far as I go with maps. I'll start naming the towns, figuring out what races live where, this and that, you know. I don't label all the towns, or I might label all the towns I mark, but I don't mark all the towns. Like on this one I have about 4 towns. I'm not gonna have 4 just on this island. There's gonna be, you know, a multitude of towns and villages on here. But these 4 would be like the 4 main ones, like the capital and some of the other higher up cities that's really known for something, whether it's known for trade, known for like a military confinement area or something like that. That's the only ones I really mark. If it's a smaller scale map, like, you know, I'm going to do a county in a state or something like in the US, then I might actually go through and mark all the towns or something. It's smaller scale, and I don't have to, you know, think of as many. But with this, you know, there could be 50, 100, 1,000, you know, little villages here and there, depending how big I wanted these. So I'm not going to go through and name all of them, but I would go through and name the ones I actually mark and stuff as a capital or whatever. And then after that, usually you have highways and roads, which would be a quick route from one place to another. Say you have this town right here in the mountains, but it's on this side of the mountains instead of this side, and you have this one. You're not gonna have a highway that will run right here across the river and then over the mountains. Most people don't want to travel over the mountains. More than likely, they will go up here, follow the river as far as they can to here, so they have water source for when they take breaks and stuff. And then they might continue around the base of the mountains, or possibly once they get here, if they think they can make this trip without, you know, needing too much water, they might actually just go up here, go across to that lake, follow the lake and the river down here, and then go across the banks until they get to the river over here, and then travel the river up to that. It seems like it's a long, out of the way process, but again, you got to think about, you know, their needs as they're traveling. You know, if it's going to be a day trip, sure, why not go over the mountains? It's not going to be that hard. But if you're blowing it up and it's going to take like a month to get from here to here, more likely that's going to be quite a bit right here. You're going to have like little tiny creeks and streams and things of water that's not marked on the map here and there. But you're going to need some sort of body of water, and if it's going to take a while, they don't mind taking even longer to make a trip as long as they have a source of food and water. So that's about the only thing else I would actually do, is try to figure out like a highway system. It doesn't have to be every road or anything, but the major ways of travel, the main roads, the main, you know, transportation of trade goods and stuff like that. This place to this place, yeah, more likely it would just be straight. Unless, again, it's going to be like a long trip. There might be like a little river right here. They might follow the lake over here down to the river and then follow it around to the coast bank. But, you know, that's only if it's going to be a long ways. But so, yeah, you can kind of figure out how you want your roads to connect and how your cities interact with each other and are connected that way. Put a little town over here. But yeah, I think that's about it. Looking at this map, I actually think I like what I did previously better. Yeah. So yeah, that is my method of how I draw maps by hand. A lot of times I just do it electronically, but you know, at times I do like to draw by hand, and here lately I've been doing a lot of drawings by hand for other projects, so I just figured I would go ahead and do this. So yeah, like I said, that's about it. So if you want to follow me, all my links are down below. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, ring that bell so you get notifications whenever I upload a video. You know, leave a like, dislike, whatever, I don't care. It helps YouTube either way. My debut novel, The Battle for METAGORE, is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books Depository, iTunes, Audible, all kinds of places. It's available in paperback, ebook, and audiobook, so go check all those links. They're all down below, and I hope y'all enjoy this video. Peace out. Yoli. Everybody love everybody.
There were three. Three of the most terrifying sea creatures were out to get us. When I surfaced, I started swimming toward the shore. I swam faster than I had ever done before in my life. Capron paused for a moment and fell into a deep thought as tears glazed his black eyes. All I could hear the screams of my men, one by one, as their lives were taken by those monsters. But I just kept swimming toward the shore, never looking back. Capron paused once again, a tear making its way down his scaly skin, and scanned the audience he had accumulated. Once I reached land, I turned and I saw it, an enormous fin sticking out of the water. The megalodon had come almost all the way to shore with me, but it retreated, not wanting to go further.
Astonishing! That must have been terrifying,
a Jinn mentioned, who had been sitting behind Capron and listening to his story. Oh, it was terrifying. But more so, 'twas heartbreaking. I lost 5 great men that day to those beasts, Capron added, being sure to look at everybody in the eyes. That's why this year, I'm going back out there with more men. This go around we'll be prepared, and we will capture the megalodons infesting our waters.